Sure.
type of feel than what G2 would have if they had their full roster. So we'll jump in here to game number 1, and I really got to pay attention now to how Mist kind of gets into this G2 squad, because it matters a lot more here against a team that's very familiar with G2.
I think that's the optimal word right there, is familiar. Like both these teams understand the tendencies and the play styles of each other. Now, Mist being in might make Complexity feel like they have slightly an upper hand here. They have an opportunity to really strike early. However, that's also one of the worst things you can do against G2, is to assume anything, because, well, they're going to punish you. But is there one, other than like Raise Bull, is there one tactic that the Complexity have up their sleeve when it comes to their performances and kind of their runs through North America that gives them the advantage in this series, as already Shad finds the opening goal?
Yeah, that guy, Shad. He really has been a difference maker for Complexity. And in the beginning of this season, when Razepool really started to cool off and not have this good series, it was Shad that was carrying this team. AJG, I think, has been consistent throughout the season. He's played quite well, but Shad's peaks have just been so high for Complexity, and he's really been a big playmaker individually too. I think Complexity have tried to get the team play going, and they have, but Shad individually has dragged this team in a couple of these series, and I think in a good way, it dragged them to victory because his individual play, and I think that's really the big difference maker. And when he's playing well, I do think the rest of Complexity is playing well. Yeah. It definitely is Shad to be the big difference maker here.
And twos, it was Shad and Razebull, and Shad was just all over the field at once. His midfield game was about as solid and as tight-knit, I think, as you could expect, and it allowed Razebull to feel a lot more creative with his individual plays upfield. But I've been really impressed with kind of Shad's commitment past the ball and looking for demos and bumps, stuff like that. But already, Atomic doing a very nice job on the recovery. It was an awkward bounce on the defensive line, but G2 take advantage.
And this is a fantastic shot from Atomic. It doesn't look like much, but Razebull trying to cover more area to his right because he knew that was more exposed, and Atomic still went near post on him. So Atomic kind of smart and little mind game there, knowing that the more open shot was to the left side, but the defender reading it, he put it back near post. Kind of a sneaky little shot there. Now Chicago, can he land on it? He does back post. Will bounce it to the top right corner, and G2 in the lead.
It's going to be hard to block that, let alone try to make this read. Chicago from the ceiling gets it around 1, and the double tap off the ground. That took like 6 bounces, but my goodness. What a read from Chicago. We've seen him do that before in like that same style. He'll take it off the sidewall and use the ceiling as a third man, but holds the reset as long as possible and just gets so much power behind the bounce. Complexity really had no answer, and all of a sudden, it's a lead back for G2.
And I've listened and talked to a lot of analysts, and more they're saying that those types of bounce shots are very, very crucial to their, a player's repertoire of attacks. And it's very tough to defend because they can also fake themselves landing on top of the ball as well, which we've seen. We saw that yesterday. Players just faking the second touch or the pinch that they would get a lot of times. It's becoming more and more popular, and you can see there Chicago putting away perfectly, and it's so tough to save.
I have a question for you that, of course, does Rocket League pertain, but I'm genuinely wondering if the future of Rocket League, I've always thought the meta change would come through like things like this, where the team pinches would really help to open up the midfield more. As another shot rings towards the net, will get saved. A follow-up attempt from G2 won't be there. Do you think that as teams start to master the pinch, that will lead the charge for offenses, or will it come through what Chicago's been able to do collectively and consistently, which is using the ceiling and using those ground touches to get like high-quality bounces that just make defenses scramble?
I think it's a collection of things, right? You have a whole bunch of mechanics that players start to use more and more, or just ways to approach the ball, like getting that bounce touch isn't necessarily like a mechanic. It's more of just like a combination of mechanics. And as you get more and more creative, I think that's something that when you get more and more of those together, you have more at your disposal to use.
Sure.
And when you have that, it's a lot more for a defender to cover. And so I think that as the game grows, I think the knowledge of what you can pull off in certain situations is going to matter a lot more. Because all the mechanics will eventually, I think, be closer to even, right? Whereas I think now there are still a lot of players that are very much further ahead in the mechanics than others.
Yeah, it feels like gone are the days of like reset dominance, where now it's backboard passes and infield screaming interceptions and using the ceiling, all that stuff. It'll be a variety of options in the toolbox for a lot of these players, as Atomic was looking to extend the play with very little boost, but not much in the tank for Chicago either. He'll fall back down to the midfield. As that one still towards the backboard, decently saved by Complexity, struggling to get it back out to the midfield. Cut down once more. Complexity cuts off his own teammate, but it might have worked out. As for now, G2 continuing the pressure, and they have a 1-goal lead, trying to make it 2.
Complexity doing a good job of hanging on here. G2 have been impressed with their attacks. It's actually been very tough for Complexity to hold possession. The defense has been quite strong just to keep G2 at bay. That's not the best clear. Follow-up for Chicago as HAG dunks his own teammate on the clear. Now Razebull having to stretch out. He's got 0 boost. G2 peppering the back wall, but not putting too many on target here. Same issue they had in their final game against Twisted Minds. Of course, they still came out on top, and Chicago will just poke this one across the net to keep possession as G2 are just swarming the Complexity side. Finally, Complexity able to break out. And maybe a chance here. Big save from Chicago as Shad couldn't find the target.
I mean, that's the first time they broke out in 45 seconds. Now, unfortunately, they only got 15 left to play with. As that's a quality pass. Double tap. Not quite there. Good defensive stop from G2. But play still alive. Trying to send it over Atomic's head. Chicago going to cut it down. And all it has to do is touch once, but Complexity pop it high. Atomic's going to meet it. And he usually will. And it will finally land as G2. In pretty easy fashion, after getting that lead, it was just continued offense and basically denying everything from Complexity. It never really felt like Complexity were able to get out and establish the offense, and they end up dropping game 1.
So let's talk about this. Let's think about this for a second. Complexity, I think, definitely feeling confident in their ones with Razebull. They should probably know that they're going to get Atomic. I think the 2s is also going to be very confident as well. I think G2... they've played 1-2's game. It was Atomic and Chicago against Luminosity. I'm curious if Complexity will want to take the 2s if they don't think they can beat Atomic, but I don't know. I think I'd have faith in Razebull. I've been impressed with his 1's play so far. Atomic will probably be one of their bigger tests. Razebull played CRR, who is also a fantastic 1 player. And very creative and kind of scrappy 1's player from CRR. But Razebull, I think he came out on top. He did. He beat him 6-4 against Guild. So yeah, I think you go 1s here. Actually, I think you trust Razebull.
Yeah, the thought process for me was, you're getting another 3s match in game 3. So regardless of how this goes, you're going to get another chance. If you feel as of right now you're not on your best game when it comes to playing against G2 at full strength, why test it with 2s? Why not go to your best option, which tends to be Razebull in 1s, knowing that even if Atomic's going to be a tough matchup, what's the best option right now? Razebull in 1s or trying your hand at 2s and seeing if you could still beat G2? I think 1s was the absolute right call. Just try to get yourself a tie series, and already off the kickoff, you get yourself a goal.
What a shot from Razebull off the post, and this is so smart. That's a great touch off the sidewall there, and so quick to turn that one around towards net. Atomic went for that boost, and in the end, in hindsight, looks a little greedy with how fast Razebull was able to recover on it. That quick 7-second goal here for Razebull. Complexity putting a lot of trust in him, a lot of confidence in him, and then for good reason. He's played great in the 1s department. He played fantastic in the qualifiers as well, taking down a lot of top NA 1s players. So Razebull now again doubles up his lead.
Yep, I think this was the right call. Granted, it's only been 20 seconds, but he gives you the best chance to tie up the series, and the confidence, and I think the I want to say the comfortability for Razebull in 1s. It's clear that he's kind of in his element, and it certainly could help inject some positivity into those comms for Complexity. As of right now, they are struggling to get back into it, but with a 2-0 lead, can they continue to build upon that as Atomic plays it nicely off the sidewall? Has a great read all the way downfield. Oh my goodness.
He just scooped that one off the wall, and I don't really blame Razebull for giving him a little bit of space there. I would have never expected him to launch that one towards your net. Atomic getting a surprising amount of power on that one, and perfectly placed right in the center of the net as well. That's a great way to get one back for Atomic. A much needed goal, and maybe a second one coming. Razebull going to have to go back for boost. Atomic, dangerous from this position. There you see him drop it down, and a good bump will push him out of the way. That's the threat of letting that ball bounce. We were just talking about this spaceman. So many options from this position. He can pinch, he can flip, but he lets it drop with the fake and goes for the bump. So many things you can do from that spot.
Yeah, and they not only is Atomic just a danger on the sidewall, but what he does there is, if you noticed, he came down very slowly off the ceiling and he waited so that it wasn't going to be a spike downwards and immediate read from Raceball on the save. He waited for the ball to reach its peak. Then once he hits it, he has all the options to either go for a bounce, go for a bump, and from there, I mean, you're basically just like you're caught jumping in front of the net if you're Raceball. And Atomic just knew what he was doing. And it's the beauty of ones, the beauty of these players. Wow, my God, this is so cool. They're just going at it. It's so fun.
Good example of the threat of a flip reset. Raceball stays grounded, knowing that Atomic had gotten it there, but Atomic lets it drop and completely fools him by letting it go off the top of his car. Atomic really showing off a lot of different things you can do on the ball in the ones game, and certainly paying off. You know, we talked about when he played the Whom, he'll be a little bit more in the air. I think Raceball isn't afraid to go to the air either. Let's see what he does here. Flip reset. Still has his flip, going for the pinch as Atomic read that one all the way.
I'm such a dork. I'm just so happy that we're seeing like good mechanics all the way through, and I think this is one of the more fascinating 1v1 matchups given the speed of Raceball and just the presence of mind from Atomic. Atomic reminds me a lot in terms of his positioning of a more mechanically gifted Taroko, and that's more of a positive for Atomic, is almost a doomsday. But his just wherewithal on the sidewall and his positioning has been kind of the crux for the success so far, as he's able to poke it free, and Raceball will now have to win this foot race back to the other corner. He'll do so. A lot of boost in the tank. Can't quite get it over Atomic though. It's slowed back down to midfield. Now how does he play it? Could try to get it around instead of going near post. He almost does as it pinches around the bar, and it's now alive for Atomic to use.
Atomic ran out of boost here, but he did a great job of defending. It's going to be a tough one to save here. Bullet towards the net. Atomic again getting the corner boost. And Raceball will take the other side. Flip reset looming, of course, as he'll try and get under. Atomic out of the play, nowhere in sight. This one gonna be saved by Atomic off the post. Follow up low boost, puts it back to the same corner, and Raceball ties it up.
It's a good pinch. There's really not much you can do if you're Atomic. I was waiting to see kind of just the replay and how it centered out, but good patience by Raceball as well, not to fly off the play and instead of go like screaming into the corner, but get back out in front center and wait for a potential pinch that doesn't go Atomic's way.
And again, Raceball did the same thing that Atomic did earlier in the threes game, where Atomic knows he has the far side of the net to cover, and so he's expecting the shot towards the open side of the net, and Raceball goes right back in front of his face near post, and it's just unsavable because the defender is obviously thinking about covering what they're most exposed to. So it's such a smart shot to take, and really, honestly, unblockable from that position. I know that's weird to say, but
Sure.
You know, it's going against expectation, and a lot of times, especially in ones, you are playing off of expectation because the mechanics are just so sharp from these players.
It's really the decision making in those small microseconds that make all the difference. This great catch from Raceball was trying to get Atomic to bait and kind of stretch around the corner, but just won't happen. He should be able to save this, and he will. Gives it right back to Atomic though. Was looking for the demo, but instead we'll get the corner boost. So now Raceball's gonna have to play to the right side. He will do so. Following up on the play, the extension cut down briefly by Atomic before Raceball gets possession right back. And in this spot, does it leave off? He will. Looking for boost now. Atomic in a one-on-one, flips it high, but Raceball reads it.
Great read from Raceball. Atomic certainly not what he wanted there. Going too high now. Raceball sends one to the moon. Over the net it goes. There's a pass to himself at the end, as Atomic kind of pinned in his own net with that touch. Now can he land on top of it? He certainly is. It's going in. Atomic can't make the read. What a touch from Raceball.
Oh, this is a thing of beauty. Gets the full tank, circles back in cleanly, cuts on the inside of the ball. So if you're Atomic, you're basically hoping it goes far post. That way you can dive across, try to pinch it. And he puts it dead center. I love that read from Raceball. Force him to kind of take the bait, and it works out as complexity. Get their lead right back.
And another bounce shot space, man. We highlighted it earlier in the series, and we've seen two here. Atomic choosing not to take the shot on the bounce, of course, letting it come down and faking it in the bump, but that one perfectly executed there by Raceball. And again, many people are starting to point out that shot to be more and more popular. And it is certainly paying off there for Raceball. And that one was very, very tough to pull off. Now he's threatening Atomic again. A weak save, and Raceball tries to pop it over. It'll drop in, and Raceball up by 2.
Patience again from Raceball. Like, Atomic makes a great save, but what, that cut right there, right back into the box. it's just that understanding of, not only does he have enough boost to finish the play, but kind of given the positioning where Atomic was, just understanding tendencies, and again, knowing that you have that challenge, you can win, and making that decision as quickly as possible with about 30 seconds to go. I don't want this one to end. This has been a great one.
Yeah.
As Complexity will have a 2-goal lead. Razebull taking over in the final minute, but Atomic, you got to tip the cap. He's played pretty excellent. The defense has been there as well. It's just come down to Razebull just having the better advantage in some of these weird kind of ceiling pinches.
He's been fantastic, and Atomic, he'll need one with time left on the clock. I don't think it's going to happen here. Good speed to meet Razebull here, but Razebull just going to run away with it, and Complexity get the job done. Trust in Razebull to take down Atomic. A big sigh of relief there. That's not an easy match.
No.
That is a difficult one, and I think Razebull made it look as easy as you possibly could against a guy like Atomic.
And with how good Complexity have looked, and kind of how systemic the gameplay has been from Atomic, yeah, that was the right call all the way through for Razebull and Complexity. I think at least giving your best player his best chance to tie up this series, and just betting on a game that you think you should win. They did so. They finally find themselves 1-1, and now you go back to 3. So the momentum feels is somewhat reset, and it gives Razebull time to warm up even more. It gives them time to kind of make some reads on Atomic, and for G2, a chance for them to, again, try to reconsider maybe the approach going forward, as Razebull looked like he was just starting to absolutely calculate and eat up Atomic's position.
Yeah, and I think Razebull outclassing Atomic here in a couple of these goals, especially in the latter half of the series. I actually thought Atomic had the advantage, even though I know Razebull was winning early on. When Atomic got back into this and took the lead when it was 3-2, I thought he looked like he was in full control, but Razebull certainly turned things around, and just that constant pressure. Shot selection is perfect right there, and of course this bounce shot, that was really the icing for Razebull. You knew he was feeling himself in this game, and I think for Atomic, a tough matchup.
It's gonna be a tough matchup for everybody on this field, back and forth. But into this one, already tied 1-1 in the series for just joining us. Series number 3 on the day. We've seen 2 3-0s. Finally, we get ourselves a guaranteed game 4, which means we will be seeing 2s coming up. As we just concluded with game 2, it was Complexity tying things back up. G2 took the opening 3s match, and now they find themselves in a similar situation where if they want to take the series lead, they got to do it in the same mode. We'll see if they can do it, but I think Complexity now are feeling a little bit more confident.
Yeah, and you put yourself in a good spot too, because again, Complexity could absolutely beat G2 in a 3v3. That's no question. So they would feel a lot better about themselves if they could get the go-ahead goal, and they do here. AJG found on the far post. Well done here from Complexity.
Great touch by Razebull, and help on the pass. I mean, that is as clean of a touch as you could possibly want, especially in traffic. That's so difficult for Razebull to put on target, and the patience from Complexity downfield to trust one another, something we saw yesterday kind of with Dignitas when they were able to get ahead of themselves and then play off the ball from there. As so far, it's been an opening lead. Complexity finally get themselves on the board, breaking the stigma from game 1 where G2 opened things up and then gained the lead and continued on. But we'll see if they can build upon it as AJG takes it through the corner. Big challenge by Atomic quickly to cut it down, but already Complexity putting another shot on target.
For Complexity, you certainly want to build on this lead as well. I think it's going to take more than just your single goal here to take down G2. So Atomic flies past his second touch too low. Razebull with a flip reset, and a good touch by Mist. A very confident third man and very passive player, not only here, but also on his own team. And I think G2 having to adjust to that type of play style. I know J-Dab's kind of got moved back into a position like that, but he's still very willing to move up and set up his teammates. And I think Mist doing his best to synergize with this G2 roster.
Gotta feel good for him as well, to be playing alongside, Chicago and Atomic. I'm sure they gave him a certain amount of leeway that will allow him to find not only his personality on the field, but to kind of, like you said, like synergize, whether it's in the middle of the series or in the beginning. You got to think that the vibes are usually pretty high between those two. And we can tell that between Chicago and Atomic, they have certainly felt like the synergy has maintained itself, if not grown, as the season's gone on. There was a lot of questions about pickup at the time, but it seems that at least the vibes of the team, the chemistry has continued to grow.
Sure.
And Mist being here might certainly kind of, it could just help his game moving forward. You never know what you might be able to pick up from your teammates on a temporary stay.
Well, you talked about questions with G2. There's been a lot of questions about complexity, especially in their winter run after such a successful fall split. You look at their winter one and kind of scratch your head. They haven't found the same magic since their fall split, although they did a little bit better in the spring. This is a LAN where they can kind of get that confidence back. And G2 would be a great opponent to take down, especially with Razebull winning that ones game against Atomic. G2 setting up some pressure here. Atomic, low boost, but trying to pass it back out. Gets an interesting touch. Mist trying to finesse it down. Couldn't find the perfect shot. Chicago wants a piece of it with no boost. Now another one a bit too high, and AJG able to clear it out.
Yeah, for complexity, they've done such a great job of beating some of NA's best, but it was always a question about can they consistently do it. We saw it in the fall, in the winter, not so much. So not only would this be a big event for confidence-wise, but also kind of proving to themselves that, yes, they can absolutely get over that mental block of a G2 or a FaZe or whoever they end up running against, because we are waiting to see that complexity of old that, dude, they were like the clutch kings before Moist came around. They were just finding ways to close out really tight games, and, well, it just hasn't been the same. But so far with a 1-0 lead, and we've killed about 3 minutes of gameplay. Downfield, a great pass, great touch. It will be saved. Chicago going to try to work through this ball as Atomic was able to find the read, and they will extend it down to the opposite corner. On the adjacent side, you have numbers there for complexity, a bit of boost as well, trying to keep it up. But it's been a pretty back and forth game in terms of possession wise. It just seemed that complexity had been able to maintain okay, never mind. All right. They seem they've been able to kind of maintain the pocket pressure that G2 have tried to apply.
I don't think Chicago meant to do that. I think that one slid to the side of his car and he just scooped it away by accident. G2 was in a 2v1 situation there, and I think they were trying to set up a demo or a bump. Unfortunately, that ball just stuck to Chicago. Now this one, lob downfield for Mist. That's a tough read, and the follow-up's there, but a big save from Shad. Complexity playing this game perfectly so far. Razebull wants one more. It's going to go off the post. Follow-up there is wide as well. Complexity still threatening. Razebull finally going to put it away. The ball given over to him, and it's a 2-0 lead now for Complexity.
I mean, you're falling away from the net, and this is such a tough read to make, but he just hits it barely enough. And AJG was there just in case for security. A 2-0 lead, Complexity rallying the momentum from that Game 2 victory in ones from Razebull. And they take this one, you would assume. But then again, I assume a lot. Sometimes it doesn't work out. We got 9 seconds to go, and for G2, it's going to take one swing of events for them to get themselves on the board. But as the pressure continues to mount, Razebull going to be denying it. And with that, a 2-1 series lead as Complexity put G2 on tournament life here, going into what we assume and should expect to be a twos matchup as a huge win in Game 3.
Has to be twos. We already played ones, and from what we've seen previous, it should be Chicago and Atomic, of course, the two teammates here, and then Shad and Razebull is what I would assume, just based off of what they've done so far. Obviously, I think Complexity want to go in with the strongest roster possible to close out this series if they are able to, and this is where it gets scary for G2. If they don't get their 2 wins here, in the 3v3, they might not make it to another 3v3, right? So this is a very scary situation for G2, and I think probably almost best case scenario here for Complexity.
Yeah, and I think the silver lining really for G2 here is that it's not ones. Like, you're not having to play Razebull directly again. You at least have a chance to have somebody else on the field. But of all the options now to be in this spot, maybe you are happy that it's twos, given the fact that you're going to have at least more variety of the way you can approach this one. It's a little bit more traditional compared to our normal threes format, but it was big for Complexity to take that ones matchup early on, just helped to reestablish the momentum in this series. They clearly use it to get themselves a Game 3 win, and now up 2-1. I'm sure they're feeling confident, but for G2, I think that given the circumstances, they're probably happy it's a twos instead of a ones.
It's going to be Atomic and Mist, AJG and Razebull.
Well,
and so I'm curious, because we know that Atomic didn't want to play the ones yesterday against EU Atomic because he wasn't playing well. So I'm curious if maybe that's how Chicago feels here as well, or maybe Atomic and Mist just said, hey, you know what? We got it.
Let's run Envy back real quick.
Yeah. And obviously you have to have Razebull in your twos. It feels like he's playing so well here. And again, curious Not that AJG is a bad choice either. I think either Shad or AJG is a great option for Complexity. But a little mix-up from both sides, and I think Atomic Mist combo is actually quite deadly here. I know you kind of get the teammate synergy with Atomic in Chicago, but Mist certainly no slouch as Atomic puts away the first for G2.
And that pinch just ends up going right back towards midfield as Razebull tried to clear it to the sidewall, but instead Atomic found something sweet. He takes advantage of it, and it's going to be the kind of those reads, and whoever's far back on transition, if Atomic's going to be back there, he might get lucky just finding an extra touch no one expected. Another pinch off the kickoff. And this one will be a little bit dangerous, and here's a chance for another shot.
A little lackadaisical. Now AJG with a miss. Razebull just kind of panicking. Atomic goes to the ceiling, gets another shot on target. Razebull again having to make the save. He's out of boost this time. His miss didn't get the best first touch there. As G2 swarming this Complexity side at the moment. Complexity all of a sudden have just lost their pace. They were so hot in that threes. That's a great dunk and another fantastic read from Razebull. He did this against Chicago. He's done it here again in this twos game, and he ties things up.
that interception's just massive because everybody's pushed up from G2, and at that point, you just hit the open net, bro. I mean, it's sometimes harder than you expect, but yeah, just hit the open net, and Razebull, with a ridiculously good read, will tie up this one. And you're going to need that. You're going to need him to kind of jump the gun sometimes and to kind of make that initial push, especially against the likes of Atomic and Mist, who missed so far up most of the time off the ball, so physical, and Atomic, whose rotation game is excellent, and who can play through the sidewall and play through the midfield and get those long touches for a potential shot.
G2 trying to mount another attack here. Complexity certainly giving up a lot of space, but look at the counter here. This one directly on target, sneaks in on the near post there. Razebull again sniping through G2.
Great pass from AJG and catches it right there. Very reminiscent of just flashback to when Team Queso played FaZe in the Winter Major. It was almost a similar play where Team Queso get a quick pass on their own side of the field and just put it on target early, and FaZe were completely stunned. Same situation there, but AJG doing a very nice job on the pass as well. Not a lot of demos or really kind of big bumps towards the goal line we've seen so far in this twos, as AJG was electing for the bounce, but I'm very interested to know if that will change as this goes on.
Oh,
great
post.
Connection off the post. Mist can't close down the deal, but Atomic will try to take it through the corner. Gets a great bump. Mist now comes in for the touch. Atomic circling back around, restabilizes, back on the net. Good goal.
Great way to wrap back around there from Atomic. That one was getting a little dicey there for Complexity. Atomic only had 16 boosts, whips back around, and has an open net to put that one away. They're on G2 here, but the former Envy teammates as well. Good synergy so far as they get back on the horse here. I think Complexity certainly taking advantage of just G2 getting a little over aggressive. There was a fake kickoff by Complexity, and it's paid off. AJG gets the boost and an air dribble towards the G2 side, but G2 does a good job to break it up.
And they're really trying to get AJG to bite. I mean, it's working. They're trying to force those saves towards the upper backboard. And then you get a chance to keep Atomic or Mist down low. As Razebull goes for the challenge.
I love that. I love that play from Mist because he kind of just threw it up and already saw Razebull. He's like, okay, I'm not going to go for it. I'm just going to back up. I'm not getting to that. I'll just play whatever he can do with it. I don't know if he didn't see him or if he just thought maybe he could get it over him, but Razebull had that one perfectly read.
Around 2 minutes and some change in this game number 4. Series, of course, currently 2-1. Complexity looking to close it out 3-1 in a lower bracket matchup, which would send G2 home, which would be a pretty big surprise just from the bracket's sake. I think that even with Falcons being the favorites, G2 certainly for North America had maybe the biggest odds of potentially going the distance. But right now, they are very much struggling as Complexity have had their number. Can they get another goal for either side? We expect it. A lot of time still to be played. Razebull through the corner. Here comes G2 now, as Mist will find the first touch, but immediately taken away by Razebull.
Yeah, G2 going home actually really wouldn't surprise me. I've been kind of mentioning it in the last 2 series. They are a team that is not built for something like this type of format, 1s and 2s. This was not what the team was built for. They made specific changes to be a 3s team, right? Otherwise, you probably would have kept someone like Drees, who has been a top 1s player. So, you know, Complexity, I think, you know, is maybe even favored more than G2, especially with the way Razebull is playing in 1s.
Yeah, he's been fantastic today. And if he keeps that up, we never know what the ceiling of this team can really get to. It's just the consistency for complexity. As right now, under 60 seconds to play. Through the corner, looking for the extension. AJG back down to the ground. We'll find a demo. A 2v1, looking for the pass. A little bit off target, and I just think it was an awkward timing. Right idea, wrong time. With 45 seconds to go, G2 is still trying to struggle and hold on to possession, as Razebull has been more than happy to scoop up the ball and kick it downfield. AJG getting a nice poke out.
Still tied, 30 seconds left. Dangerous here, full boost for Atomic. He's going all the way past AJG. Both went from Complexity, but they make the save. And AJG trying to have the last laugh here for Complexity. 20 seconds left on the clock. He cuts one, he goes over the other. It's still dangerous here on the G2 side. G2, I think, struggling to keep up with the play. This one's going to be poked out to Razebull. He's got full boost now. 10 seconds left. Razebull, the hero for Complexity, over one, gets to the backboard, follow-ups there, and Complexity into the lead with 5 seconds left.
And he uses all the boost to set up this play. You have a bite from Mist. He has to challenge. Not a lot in the tank for G2, and everyone tries off the backboard, but AJG waits patiently, gets the call up, and slots in the lane. 3-2 off this kickoff. Can G2 find a miracle?
Need something special.
It's pretty good.
Decent kickoff from Mist. He has no boost. Knocks it down to Atomic. It's up to him. And he puts it high and wide. Complexity knocks it down. Complexity knock out G2.